For introduction, I'm going to turn the mic over to Alyse.
She can hold it if you talk with your hands, so don't you?
Can y'all hear me? How about now? Yes. Thank you all for being here this morning to join us in worship. It's such a privilege to be able to stand here this morning and share some exciting news on how God has been working in my life. Many of you know that me standing here today is something we have been praying for quite some time. Many of you were here earlier this year to hear my testimony of how God has continued to work in my life. Today I'm going to share with you from the beginning. Many of you have known me since I was a young girl, but for those of you who do not know who I am Alyse Green. Today I'm going to tell you my story and how God has continuously worked in my life. So first, let's start with the beginning. I've grown up in the Marion area since the age of 6 and began coming to First Baptist Church Marion around the 2nd or 3rd grade. I think it's safe to say that I fell in love with this church and the people and have made it my home. Growing up, I had a wonderful childhood. I did it all. I did competitive dance and gymnastics. I played soccer and cheerleading. I even did karate for a little while. I was always moving, running, playing, doing something. I could not stand to sit still. Because I was so active in sports growing up, I went to a lot of camps. This is where my passion started that initiated my plans for my future. I would go to camp and find myself spending a lot of time at the athletic trainer's table, letting them tape my ankles or getting ice. I always liked sitting around and talking to them. I thought they had the coolest job ever. After a few injuries growing up, I also found myself spending time in physical therapy. There again, I found myself very intrigued and wanted their job when I grew up. So as I got older, my plans were made to go to school to become an athletic trainer and then apply to physical therapy school and earn my doctorate of physical therapy. So that's exactly what I did. Now I wish I could tell you that this journey was easy. It's not easy for anyone, but I certainly had some unexpected bumps in the road. I was able to attend the University of West Alabama to begin my bachelor's degree in athletic training. Everything was wonderful. I was learning so many things, working many long hours with different sports, and even decided to cheer while I was there. But during my last year, something was not quite right. I was bruising very easily, extremely fatigued, and my heart felt like it was racing all the time. I honestly just felt awful. I also started having problems with my muscles. At first, it just felt like a weird cramp, but over time, it progressed to difficulty using my muscles. After being told time and time by doctors that I just needed to drink more water and stay hydrated, it finally came to the point where I could not use my muscles at all for a couple of hours a day. It was then that a neurologist suspected that I had something called hyperkalemic periodic paralysis. Now, whoa, what is that? The easiest way I know how to describe it is that I have a genetic mutation that causes my potassium levels in my blood to rise very high, and it causes me not to be able to use my muscles during that time. This happens daily and leaves me paralyzed from the neck down for approximately 2 hours. Now the blessing is that it has occurred approximately the same time, usually around mid-morning, and by lunch I get back to what I call normal. So here I was with this new strange diagnosis, and I just got accepted into physical therapy school at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. At the time, I was at the Mayo Clinic having a lot of tests done. While there, I was also diagnosed with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is the cause of my fast heart rate. This caused my heart rate to be a lot faster just every day when doing things such as standing up or walking around. Having this diagnosis as well complicated treatment for my periodic paralysis because some things that could possibly help regulate my potassium levels will make my heart rate even worse. So while I was there, I asked the doctors at Mayo Clinic, can I go to PT school? The response that I got was that we can't tell you that you can, and we can't tell you that you can't. That was good enough for me. I was going. My amazing parents drove me home from Mayo Clinic on a Thursday, and then to Jackson the next morning for preview day for physical therapy school. I was so weak and tired, but I was determined. I'll never forget my mom and dad said they had no idea what was said in the parents' meeting because they were so worried I was going to fall out when they took us on the campus tour. But no worries, I made it. So here came time to move to Jackson. I was about to embark on 3 years of intense schooling. I was getting a roommate that was a total stranger to me, and I was having episodes of daily paralysis for 2 hours a day. And I had no idea how this was going to work with school. A lot of prayer went into me moving to Jackson, but I knew this is where God wanted me to be. What I did not tell you earlier is that I was first accepted to Arkansas State University to physical therapy school, and I had to give them an answer the day that I found out that I was accepted into the medical center in Jackson. Tell me that was not God's timing.
No.
Even still, a lot of prayers were prayed, and not only that I would be okay, but that my professors and classmates would be receptive and help me through this journey. Romans 12:12 says, let your hope keep you joyful, be patient in your troubles, and pray at all times. It's a hard concept to grasp, even for me, that I go from totally fine to totally incapable of doing anything for myself for 2 hours a day, and then back to totally fine. So I was really stressed going into my first day of school. When I told the program director that first day, she was everything I had prayed for. She was wonderful. She helped me settle into a routine there at school. I would take my tests either early in the morning or in the afternoon, and if they were scheduled during the time I normally had an episode. Professors were even available to me after hours when I was unable to participate in lab. Now, I wish I could say that my entire journey through PT school was as wonderful and simple as I just made it seem, but it was not. There was also doubt. Doubt from some individuals as to whether I should be in school for physical therapy. Doubt from individuals as to whether I could be a physical therapist. I was told more than once that I could never work in an outpatient clinical setting because it would be too hard for me to schedule patients. Now, I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. There was also doubt for my clinical sites. This is where the devil really tried to get to me. My very first clinical was set up and ready to go, but when they found out that I was not your typical PT student and accommodations would need to be put in place, they revoked my clinical spot and did not allow me to come. That hurt. That put doubt in my head for the first time about my ability to become a PT. How was I supposed to believe in myself when people in my own future profession would not even give me a chance? I was frustrated, angry, sad. I remember asking God, why did you even bring me here if no one is going to give me a chance? But then I felt peace. God spoke to me and told me, do not worry, I will take care of you. And that is exactly what he did. Within a couple of weeks, I found a new clinical site that was excited to have me and get to know me. And let me tell you, it was a wonderful experience. Unfortunately, setting up most of my clinicals were a problem, but I was prepared after the first time. I knew that it was possible sites would not take me as a student or would be hesitant, but I also knew that God already had a plan, and I just had to trust that he had already taken care of it. And once again, that's exactly what he did. I was able to attend all 4 clinical rotations and have a great experience at each site. There were just a few bumps in the road to get there. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. While I did not understand why individuals were doubting me and did not want to give me a chance, when I decided to trust in my Lord and Savior, He did just as Proverbs 3 says. He made my path straight. As if the doubt and insecurity of clinicals were not enough of a setback and the devil trying to get to me, my second year of school, I had quite the health scare. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and needed to have surgery to remove my thyroid. I was accepting and truly not that worried. I just had a peace about it all, that God would take care of me. I had surgery over spring break of that year, and all the cancer was removed with surgery, and I did not need any other treatments. Can you say praise the good Lord? What an awesome God I have. With surgery did come some unexpected and unwanted side effects. Having periodic paralysis makes my body very sensitive to change. Being sick, something as simple as a cold, getting too worn out, too hot, too cold, or having surgery such as my thyroid being removed makes my episodes more frequent. While I typically have one episode a day in the mornings, after surgery I was having paralysis 3 to 4 times a day. There was question from administration at the school as to whether I could continue with school or if I would need to make up time following graduation and receive my diploma late, or possibly even fall back into the class behind me. Paralyzing fear comes to mind when I think about this specific time in my life. It's the title of one of my devotionals that has stuck with me. I was afraid I had made it this far, and for what? To graduate late? Not at all. The future seemed so unclear at that time, even though I was so determined. It was totally out of my control. This taught me how fear separates us from fully trusting God. I knew that all I could do was once again trust in His plan, and that was so scary. But God does not want us to live in a state of fear. The Bible tells us over and over again, do not fear. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 1 Peter 5:7 says, I can handle him in all my anxiety because he cares for me. Romans 8:38 and 39 says, nothing can ever separate me from the love of God. And the list goes on. Letting go of fear is hard, and it still is at times. But as always, God took care of me. The increase in my paralysis lasted for about 6 weeks following surgery, and it was back to my normal 1 episode a day, just in time for me to go back on clinical rotations. I can't tell my story without telling you about a very special person that God had put into my life. Her name was Elizabeth Scott Hankins, also known as Libby. Libby had cystic fibrosis, and we cheered together at West Alabama. What a blessing it was to know Libby. She never complained about anything, and she was literally fighting for every breath she took. Libby received a double lung transplant in April 2016. She did wonderful. She and her mother were living in North Carolina, close to Duke University, where her transplant was done as part of her recovery after her transplant. Her first words when she took her first breath after transplant were, "It feels so good." Libby continued to do great and was able to move back home to Florida, Alabama, just in time for Christmas. She was able to start her student teaching in January so that she would be on track to graduate in May. Yes, you heard me correct. She had a double lung transplant in April and started student teaching in January. Libby was a fighter, and determined doesn't begin to describe her. Libby fell ill that February and had to be transported back to Duke. She fought weeks in the medical ICU, where she gained her heavenly wings just one day after I came home from the hospital from having my thyroid removed. Every time someone told me they were praying for me for surgery, I asked that they also pray for my dear friend. I tell you Libby's story because I believe God put some people in our life for a reason. Once I saw a quote that said, "Everyone you meet has something to teach you." Instantly I thought of Libby. Libby taught me so much in the time that we spent together at West Alabama. She taught me strength. She taught me friendship. She taught me to see the good in every situation. She taught me kindness, she taught me to be brave, and she showed me what living for Christ and giving him all the glory looks like, no matter how bad things are. When I first met Libby, I did not know the trials I would face in the future. I did not have the health problems then that I face now, but I truly believe God placed Libby in my life to teach me all of these things. He knew I would face hardships, and she was just the person to show me how to overcome anything. My final year of school went by without any major events. I was able to complete all the requirements for graduation and planned to graduate with my class. I was excited. I could see that my dreams were really going to come true. I was almost there. Graduation and board exams were the only things standing in my way of becoming a licensed physical therapist. Unfortunately, graduation was in the morning, and I knew I would have to go across the stage in a wheelchair. The devil tried to get to me again, and I told my mom I did not want to go to graduation. But after a lot of prayer, I soon decided that I deserved to be there no matter the circumstances. So finally, graduation day arrived, and my dreams were literally coming true. So here came May 25th, 2018, my graduation day. While this day was not how I dreamed, it was exactly how God intended. I may not have walked across the stage, but everyone said they could see my smile from across the auditorium as I received my diploma. If I said I got to this day exactly how I had planned since middle school, I would be lying. Just remember, faith in God includes faith in His timing. Living with periodic paralysis has been hard and felt unfair at times, but it has also taught me so much about myself and my love for God. It has opened my eyes to a world of rare and known disorders and the need for research and advocacy. Taught me to be thankful, taught me to trust in God's plan, and that you really shouldn't fret over the small things, even though I still do at times. God has constantly shown me that He has been and still is by my side throughout this journey. It was time to take boards. July 25th, 2018 was yet another day I did not foresee turning out the way it did. This was the day of my board exam. To have a test time that would not be in the middle of my paralysis episode, I needed to test in the afternoon. This resulted in my sweet mother traveling with me to Little Rock, Arkansas to sit for my exam. I didn't really care as long as I could take it, but man, was that a long trip. I said to Mom in the car, I wonder why God is sending me to Little Rock. And while I may never know, I'm sure He had His reasons. One thing is for sure, I was ready to be back in Marion, Mississippi. I, along with my classmates, had to wait a week on our exam results, and I prayed diligently for peace, God's will, that I had prepared for my tests, and I thank God for getting me this far. Once again, God blessed me, and I received the news that I passed my exam. No matter what obstacle I have faced, He has shown me the way. After passing board exams, it was time to start work. August 6, 2018, I started my first job as a licensed physical therapist at Total Rehab here in Marion. Do you remember me telling you that individuals told me I would never work in an outpatient clinic? Well, I'm here to tell you that my God said otherwise, because that's exactly what I'm doing today. While on clinical rotation at Total Rehab my second year of school, right after I had surgery, I was offered a job with a wonderful group of people. I will forever be grateful for this journey God has allowed me to embark on. West Alabama and the University of Mississippi Medical Center will forever hold a special place in my heart. I made friends I will have for a lifetime, and I was surrounded by people who wanted me to succeed. I can now see that I have always been exactly where God wanted me to be the entire time. It's so easy to trust God and His plan when things are going your way, but it's easy to slip into the devil's state of mind when something goes wrong. I have constantly struggled with this over the last few years, but time and time again, God has shown me that He will give me strength. For I know the plans for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. This church has diligently prayed with me, for me, and over me every step of the way. There have been many ups and downs throughout this journey, but you have all reminded me so often that God is the ultimate healer and to be strong in my faith. I stand here today to tell you that my God is faithful and God answers prayers, not in our timing, but in His. On Tuesday, June 11th, 2019, I started a new medication, and as I've done many times before. And on Tuesday, June 11th, 2019, I did not have paralysis. I have not had an episode of paralysis since that day, and I could not be more blessed. Today I stand in this church for Sunday morning worship, not sitting in a wheelchair, for the first time in 5 years. So I'm here to tell you that God is faithful, and He does answer our prayers. We just have to trust in Him and His timing. I just want to thank each and every one of you for every thought, prayer, and well wish that you have sent for me. I'm truly blessed to have such an amazing God to serve and a loving church family. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Brother Kyle, Leanne, my family, and my amazing church family. Your love, support, and encouragement have helped me through many days. Thank you all for the many prayers that have been prayed for me and over me. They have been a blessing to me, and they have been felt.